Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. The walk to school felt both endless and far too short. Each step brought a new wave of anxiety, but also a surge of excitement. For the first time, Evelyn felt like she was walking towards her future, not away from it. As she approached the school gates, she spotted Brianna waiting for her. Her friend's face lit up with a huge smile. "Evelyn!" Brianna called out, rushing to meet her. "You look amazing!" The two girls hugged, Evelyn feeling a rush of gratitude for her friend's unwavering support. "I'm so scared," Evelyn admitted in a whisper. Brianna squeezed her hand. "I know, but you're not alone. We're in this together." As they walked into the school building, Evelyn felt every eye turn towards her. Whispers erupted in their wake. Some curious, some confused, a few unkind. But with Brianna by her side, Evelyn held her head high. They made their way to the principal's office, where Mrs. Ramirez was waiting for them. The older woman greeted Evelyn with a warm smile. "Good morning, Evelyn," she said, using the new name without hesitation. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous," Evelyn admitted, "but ready." Mrs. Ramirez nodded approvingly. "That's understandable. Remember, my door is always open if you need anything. We've informed your teachers, and there will be an assembly later this week to address the student body about respecting gender identity. But for now, let's focus on getting you through your first day." As they left the office, Evelyn spotted a familiar face in the hallway. Marco, her best friend since childhood, was staring at her with wide eyes. "Al?" he asked hesitantly, then corrected himself. "I mean, Evelyn?" Evelyn felt her heart racing. This was the moment she'd been dreading most. "Hey, Marco," she said softly. "Yeah, it's me. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." Marco was quiet for a long moment, his brow furrowed in thought. Then, to Evelyn's surprise, he stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. "You're still my best friend," he said fiercely. "No matter what. I've got your back, okay?" Tears threatened to spill over as Evelyn hugged him back. "Thank you," she whispered. The first few classes were a blur of curious glances and whispered conversations. Some teachers stumbled over her new name, while others used it without missing a beat. Evelyn felt like she was walking on eggshells, hyper-aware of every reaction, every nuance in people's voices. By lunchtime, she was exhausted. As she sat with Brianna and Marco in the cafeteria, picking at her food, a group of girls approached their table. "Is it true?" one of them asked bluntly. "You're really a girl now?" Evelyn felt her cheeks burning, but she lifted her chin and met the girl's gaze. "I've always been a girl," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. "I'm just finally able to be myself." The girls exchanged glances, then the one who had spoken shrugged. "Cool," she said. "You want to sit with us? We're having a study group for the history test next week." Stunned, Evelyn looked at Brianna, who nodded encouragingly. "Go on," she said with a smile. "I'll catch up with you later." As Evelyn gathered her things and followed the girls to their table, she felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this could work out after all. The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of emotions. There were awkward moments, like when she had to use the bathroom and wasn't sure which one to choose. There were painful moments, like overhearing a group of boys making crude jokes. But there were also moments of unexpected kindness. A shy freshman telling her she looked pretty. A teacher pulling her aside to say how proud they were of her courage. By the time the final bell rang, Evelyn was emotionally and physically drained. But as she walked out of the school gates, she felt a sense of accomplishment she'd never experienced before. She had done it. She had taken the first step towards living as her true self. Beth was waiting in the car, her face anxious as Evelyn approached. "How was it, sweetheart?" she asked as soon as Evelyn climbed in. Evelyn let out a long breath. "It was a lot," she said honestly. "But I think it's going to be okay." As they drove home, Evelyn filled her mom in on the day's events. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Beth listened attentively, offering words of encouragement and support. "I'm so proud of you, Evelyn," she said as they pulled into their parking spot. "You're the strongest person I know." That night, as Evelyn lay in bed, she reflected on the whirlwind of changes that had occurred in just a few short days. There was still so much ahead: hormone therapy to consider, legal name changes, and a lifetime of explaining and educating others. But for the first time in her life, Evelyn felt like she was on the right path. She picked up her phone, opening the chat window with Brianna. "Thank you," she typed, "for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." Brianna's reply came quickly. "You're amazing, Evelyn. Never forget that. Sweet dreams, girl." With a smile on her face, Evelyn drifted off to sleep, ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring. She was Evelyn now, truly and completely, and nothing could ever take that away from her. The weeks that followed were a roller coaster of emotions and experiences for Evelyn. Each day brought new challenges, but also new joys as she settled into her true identity. At school, things slowly began to normalize. The initial shock and curiosity wore off, and Evelyn found herself being treated more and more like just another girl. She joined the girls' study group that had invited her that first day, forming new friendships that felt more genuine than any she'd had before. There were still difficult moments, of course. The boys' locker room was now off limits, which meant finding creative solutions for PE class. Some students continued to misgender her, either out of habit or, in a few cases, deliberate cruelty. But with the support of friends like Brianna and Marco, as well as understanding teachers and staff, Evelyn learned to navigate these challenges with growing confidence. At home, Beth threw herself into researching everything she could about supporting her transgender daughter. They had long talks about hormone therapy, the legal process of changing Evelyn's name and gender marker, and the emotional journey they were both on. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching a movie, Beth turned to Evelyn with tears in her eyes. "I want you to know," she said softly, "that I'm sorry for all the years I didn't see you, for all the times I might have made you feel like you couldn't be yourself." Evelyn felt her own eyes welling up. "Mom, no, you've been amazing. I was the one who was too scared to tell you." Beth pulled her daughter into a tight hug. "We're in this together now, sweetheart. No more secrets, okay?" As the days turned into weeks, Evelyn began to feel more comfortable in her own skin. She experimented with different styles of clothing, finding joy in expressing herself through fashion in a way she never had before. Beth took her shopping for her first bra, a moment that was equal parts awkward and affirming. Evelyn also started seeing a therapist who specialized in gender identity issues. Dr. Patel helped her work through the complex emotions surrounding her transition, as well as providing guidance on the medical aspects of her journey. It was during one of these sessions that Evelyn brought up a concern that had been nagging at her. "I feel guilty," she admitted. "Like I'm not trans enough because I don't hate every aspect of my body. Is that normal?" Dr. Patel smiled gently. "Evelyn, there's no one right way to be transgender. Everyone's journey is unique. Some people experience intense body dysphoria, while others don't. What matters is that you're living authentically as yourself." These words stayed with Evelyn, helping her to silence the doubts that sometimes crept in late at night. As summer approached, Evelyn faced a new challenge: swimming. The thought of wearing a swimsuit in public filled her with anxiety. But Brianna, ever supportive, came up with a solution. "Let's have a girls' day at the beach," she suggested. "We can go shopping for cute suits and cover-ups. It'll be fun." And so, on a warm Saturday in June, Evelyn found herself at the mall with Brianna and a few other friends from school. As they browsed through racks of colorful swimwear, Evelyn felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What about this one?" Brianna held up a pretty one-piece with a floral pattern. Evelyn hesitated. "I don't know. Will it look okay on me?" One of the other girls, Emma, spoke up. "Girl, you've got legs for days. You're going to look amazing in whatever you choose." Warmth bloomed in Evelyn's chest at the casual acceptance in Emma's words. She took the swimsuit and a few others into the changing room, surprised to find that she actually liked how she looked in them. The beach day itself was a revelation. Surrounded by friends who saw her for who she truly was, Evelyn found herself relaxing and having fun. She even gathered the courage to go into the water, the feel of the waves against her skin a new and exhilarating sensation. As summer progressed, Evelyn and Beth met with an endocrinologist to discuss hormone therapy. The doctor explained the process in detail, outlining both the benefits and the potential risks. "It's a big decision," she told Evelyn. "Take your time to think it over. There's no rush." That night, Evelyn lay awake, weighing her options. The thought of further feminizing her body was appealing, but the idea of medical intervention was also scary. She thought about the girls at school, about the women she saw on TV and in magazines. Did she need to look like them to be valid in her identity? She reached for her phone, opening her chat with Brianna. "How did you know you were ready for hormones?" she typed. Brianna's reply came a few minutes later. "I just knew it was right for me. But everyone's different, Ev. There's no timeline you have to follow. Do what feels right for you." As the summer drew to a close, Evelyn made her decision. She wanted to start hormone therapy. The process would be slow, the changes gradual, but it felt like the right next step on her journey. The day she took her first dose of estrogen was both terrifying and exhilarating. Beth was there with her, holding her hand as she swallowed the small pill that represented such a big change. "I'm so proud of you," Beth said, hugging her daughter tightly. As they pulled apart, Evelyn noticed her mom's eyes were wet with tears. "Mom, are you okay?" Beth nodded, wiping at her eyes. I'm so grateful that I get to be here for this, that you trust me to be part of your journey." Evelyn felt her own eyes welling up. "I couldn't do this without you, Mom. I love you so much." As summer turned to fall, Evelyn prepared to start her junior year of high school. This would be her first full year living openly as herself from day one. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she picked out her first day outfit. On the morning of the first day, Beth insisted on taking pictures, just as she had every year since kindergarten. As Evelyn posed in front of their apartment building, wearing a cute skirt and blouse combo, she felt a surge of joy. This was her, truly and completely. "You look beautiful, sweetheart," Beth said, lowering the camera. "Are you ready?" Evelyn took a deep breath, thinking about all she had been through and all that still lay ahead. She thought about the friends who had stood by her, the family that had embraced her, and the strength she had discovered within herself. "Yeah," she said, a smile spreading across her face. "I'm ready." As she walked into school that day, head held high, Evelyn knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she could face them. As Evelyn settled into her junior year, she found herself navigating a new set of challenges and triumphs. The hormone therapy was beginning to have subtle effects. Her skin softened, and she noticed small changes in the distribution of fat on her body. Each tiny shift felt like a victory, a step closer to aligning her outer appearance with her inner self. One morning, Evelyn stood before her closet, contemplating her outfit for the day. Her wardrobe had expanded significantly over the past few months, a colorful array of skirts, dresses, and blouses replacing the drab, baggy clothes she'd hidden behind for so long. She selected a cozy sweater dress in a rich burgundy, paired with black leggings and ankle boots. As she applied her makeup, a skill she was still perfecting, Beth knocked gently on the bedroom door. "Evelyn, can I come in?" "Sure, Mom," Evelyn called, putting the finishing touches on her mascara. Beth entered, a small gift bag in her hands. "I have something for you," she said, a mix of nervousness and excitement in her voice. Evelyn raised an eyebrow, curious. "What's the occasion?" No occasion, Beth replied, handing over the bag. I just saw this and thought of you. Intrigued, Evelyn reached into the bag and pulled out a delicate silver necklace. A small pendant in the shape of a butterfly dangled from the chain, its wings inlaid with tiny crystals that caught the light. Oh, Mom, Evelyn breathed, running her finger over the intricate design. It's beautiful. Beth stepped forward, taking the necklace and moving behind her daughter to fasten it around her neck. I thought, well, the butterfly symbolizes transformation, you know. It reminded me of you, of how brave you've been through all of this. Evelyn turned to face the mirror, admiring how the pendant rested just below her collarbone. Tears pricked at her eyes, threatening to ruin her carefully applied mascara. Thank you, she whispered, turning to pull her mom into a tight hug. I love it. As they embraced, Evelyn felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. For all the challenges she'd faced, for all the uncertainty that still lay ahead, having her mother's unwavering support meant everything. The moment was interrupted by the buzz of Evelyn's phone. She pulled away, checking the message. It's Brianna, she explained. She's waiting outside to walk to school. Beth nodded, giving her daughter's hand a final squeeze. Have a great day, sweetheart. And remember, if anyone gives you any trouble, go straight to Mrs. Ramirez. I know. Evelyn finished with a smile. Don't worry, Mom. I've got this. As Evelyn stepped out into the air, she felt a surge of confidence. The butterfly pendant rested cool against her skin, a constant reminder of how far she'd come. Brianna waved from the sidewalk, her face lighting up as she saw her friend. Ev, you look amazing, she gushed, falling into step beside Evelyn. Is that necklace new? Evelyn nodded, recounting the moment with her mom. As they walked, the conversation flowed easily between them, touching on homework, the upcoming Halloween dance, and the latest drama in their friend group. As they approached the school, Evelyn spotted Marco waiting by the entrance. He'd been true to his word about having her back, becoming one of her fiercest defenders against any bullying or misgendering. Ladies, he greeted them with a mock bow, earning eye rolls and giggles from both girls. The trio made their way inside, joining the flow of students hurrying to their lockers before first period. Evelyn was just closing her locker when she heard a familiar voice behind her. Well, if it isn't the school freak show. She turned to see Jason, a senior who'd made it his personal mission to make her life difficult. Evelyn felt her heart rate quicken, but she stood her ground, meeting his sneer with a level gaze. Is there something you need, Jason? She asked, proud of how steady her voice sounded. Before he could respond, Marco stepped between them, his usually easygoing expression hardened into a glare. Back off, man! Don't you have anything better to do? Jason's eyes narrowed, but he seemed to think better of starting something with Marco there. With a final muttered insult, he slouched off down the hallway. Evelyn let out a shaky breath. Thanks, she said softly to Marco. He shrugged, his easy smile returning. What are friends for? Besides, that guy's a total jerk to everyone. It's not about you, Ev. As they headed to their first class, Evelyn's hand went to the butterfly pendant, drawing strength from its presence. She'd faced worse than Jason, and she'd face more challenges in the future. But with friends like Marco and Brianna by her side, she knew she could handle anything. The day progressed, a typical mix of classes, conversations, and the occasional sideways glance from students who were still adjusting to Evelyn's transition. In English class, they were studying poetry, and today's lesson focused on Emily Dickinson. As the teacher read aloud, one particular line caught Evelyn's attention. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. She found herself reflecting on the idea of hope, how it had sustained her through the darkest moments of her journey, even when she'd felt most alone, most trapped in a body and identity that didn't fit. There had always been that small, persistent spark of hope that someday, somehow, she could live as her true self. Lost in thought, Evelyn almost missed when the teacher called on her. Evelyn, what do you think the poet means by comparing hope to a bird? Gathering her thoughts, Evelyn spoke slowly. I think maybe it's about how hope can lift us up, help us rise above our circumstances, like a bird that keeps singing, even in a storm. The teacher nodded approvingly. Excellent insight, Evelyn. Can anyone else build on that? As the discussion continued, Evelyn felt a warm glow of satisfaction. It was moments like these, being seen, being heard, being valued for her thoughts and ideas rather than judged for her appearance or identity, that made all the struggles worthwhile. As the final bell rang, signaling the end of the school day, Evelyn gathered her things and headed for the exit. She had plans to meet Brianna and some of the other girls at the mall to look for Halloween dance outfits. Just as she was about to leave, she heard Mrs. Ramirez calling her name. Evelyn, do you have a moment? Curious, Evelyn followed the principal into her office. Is everything okay? She asked, a hint of worry creeping into her voice. Mrs. Ramirez smiled reassuringly. Everything's fine. I just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing. And, well, I have a proposition for you. Evelyn tilted her head, intrigued. What kind of proposition? We're putting together a diversity panel for the upcoming school board meeting, Mrs. Ramirez explained. Students sharing their experiences, talking about how we can make our school more inclusive. I was wondering if you'd be interested in participating. Evelyn's first instinct was to say no. The thought of speaking in front of the school board, of making herself even more visible, was terrifying. But as she considered it, she thought about all the other kids out there who might be struggling with their own identities, afraid to speak up or be themselves. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn nodded. I'll do it, she said, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. Mrs. Ramirez beamed. Wonderful. I'll email you the details. And Evelyn, thank you. Your courage is truly inspiring. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.